Hey guys, today we're going to be taking a look at the Haslab LioKaiser, and here they are. So yeah, we're going to just jump straight into them. So I've had this guy for a couple of weeks now, and I've finally finalized my thoughts to finally feel like I can make a video to where I am not assuming things anymore. But so these guys are laid out in a specific orientation for a reason. Death Cobra being first, and I just call him Jaguar. I don't really know how to pronounce the Jaguar or whatever. I just say Jaguar for his name. But this is my ranking of them as their individual components. Death Cobra is my least favorite and I think the worst component. And I personally think Jaguar is the best and he's my favorite. So that's how we're going to do it. We're going to start from Death Cobra and work our way up to Jaguar. And then we will combine them into LioKaiser. So I'm going to clear them all off so we can look at Death Cobra and then we'll just work our way down the line. Okay, so here is Death Cobra, and I don't necessarily have too big of a problem with this guy. He is okay, but that purely is what he is. He is okay, slightly below okay, because the first thing that really gets me is I do not like the sculpt. I don't like how bubbly and round the cockpit is, and I just don't really like how bubbly and round he necessarily is in the anime. And I'm not a super big like stickler, or I'm not super like big on the hyper tune or anime accuracy. It's just okay. I like the interpretation that the designers give to the toys, but in this instance I loved Death Cobra's alternate mode. I love the Apache type the Apache type attack helicopter, and this really just doesn't give that design and that look off. It just really, to me, I mean this in the best way possible, it just looks like a Rescue Bots toy, and I love the Rescue Bots toy, but it looks more of like a preschool toy. Like, we can't have something super scary, super militaristic, but that's exactly what I loved about the original design of Death Cobra, of his helicopter mode. That's exactly what I loved. Like the nose gun, I love the idea that they even included the nose gun. Love all that, like up here, like where the helicopter blades are. I love all the detailing in it. I do really like the tail fin. I love that it actually has these side fins, not just this end fin with the the rotor and whatnot, but it's just this cockpit. I wish it was more blocky, more aggressive to give off his, attack helicopter mode. He's not just a regular helicopter. And I really do, and I'll talk about this with all of them, I really wish he did a little bit more when it comes to his transformation. He does a little bit more because he transforms very, very similar, almost identical to the arm pieces, which is Skyhawk and Hellbat, but I just wish he did more. Like, you can see his arms there, and you can see his legs. He just, I don't know. I'm trying to be nice to him because he was only a one scene, but that's what he gives off, is that he's an accessory rather than a figure. And yeah, he was part of the tiers and everything, but he just gives off that lack of effort, in my opinion. Like, the lack of like aggressive sculpt up here, which that's more of a personal opinion, but you see how he's gonna work, you see how he's gonna transform, and he just seems like there wasn't a lot of effort there, in my opinion. But let's just transform him really quick, and it'll be really, really simple. So you do have to take his breast animal off. I'm not going to call it a chest animal. I'm calling it a breast animal like the original anime. But I like to have the toes of all of them sort of angled like that. But you just swivel them forward. If you do have them like that, you will have to take the propellers off. I mean, the rotor, propeller, whatever, off. I'm not a huge fan of that. But flip that up, and then just move that, and then you will untab the legs, extend them, and they will tab in, separate them, and then you can spin that around. So it's going to get tall, so just raise the camera up, and now we can bring that back down, just untab the arms by swiveling them out, flip out the fists like so, and now bring those fins in, and now we can bring this down and bring the head down if it goes with it. Tab it in, and this just simply tabs in, and I like to have the tail and everything down like this. I just personally like that look better. And then we'll put his breast animal back on, and unfortunately I wish this could stay on the back. You probably could finagle it a little bit to stay, but I'm just going to put it on his arm. And I do kind of like the look of it. I just wish it didn't have to parts form necessarily, unless I am wrong and it doesn't. But we'll just leave it like this. And he is ultimately a good robot mode. Obviously he has all this junk hanging off his back, but I can kind of deal with it. You know, Transformers are gonna have kibble, but it's more of just what I said with his helicopter mode, is that you can just see how he works. You know, he's just a very simple beast, and there's nothing wrong with something that's simple. It's just more of, it just seems like he doesn't have a ton of effort in him, and I'll be repeating this throughout the video because all the other components unfortunately give off the same vibe. But that's enough negative talk, because I do really love the design. Death Cobra has a very nice, beautiful design. The head, the face sculpt isn't amazing. I wish it was more like squished. I don't like how skinny his face is, but it has grown on me. I really didn't like it when I first, started messing with him and playing with him. Really did not like the head and face sculpt, but it has grown on me. It's not perfect, but it could be a whole lot worse. His breast animal, of course, is a cobra, and you just flip out the face of it, and then you just flip out the tail, and I really do like the cobra. He does look really cute. Kind of looks like an alligator face with his little teeth sticking out and how flat the face is. He reminds me of that Battle Master that came out in Earthrise. No, I can't remember what wave he came out in, but the Cobra one. And then for the gun, you just flip the face down and then flip out that peg. And now he is in his, attack mode or whatever. But I really do like the breast animal Cobra. I do really like that. And Death Cobra, even though he's the worst in my opinion of the set, he still isn't bad. He still is a decent, if he was sold as a deluxe or small Voyager, I don't think he would be that criticized, because he's just okay. But he just shows the cracks, in my opinion, of this set. But enough of him, let's move on to our first official member. And our first official member, of course, is Kill Bison. I think he always gets the short end of the stick, even though he really doesn't. I think he had a really good toy in Combiner Wars. I don't own the Combiner Wars version, but I think he had a pretty decent toy. He wasn't the right, bronzish brown color. I think he was more of a yellowish gold. And then, obviously, the original toy having the gold plastic syndrome, unfortunately. So, in my head, he has always just had the short end of the stick, but maybe that's just me making it up. And this double-barreled tank is not amazing. I wish more was done to it. I hate the turret. I hate how tall it is. And we will see it when we get into LioKaiser. It even looks weird when he's holding it. But he's just okay. Once again, you can see how he's gonna work. You're just gonna see that. You see how he's gonna work. But I just wish there was more done to him. The turret, if it sat lower, looked more like a regular tank, kind of. I think I would have liked it more, because if you guys know anything about me, like I've said a million times, I love tanks, love military vehicles, and this set really should be that. There's a tank, there's multiple planes, and all that sort of stuff. But he just looks kind of I don't know, just, once again, just retreading the same ground that I said with Death Cobra, is that he just seems like there's not a lot of effort put in. But I won't deny that I love the sort of stupid charm of it, because it's so bad. You know, I kind of gravitate towards things like that, and he is no exception. But yeah, transformation is super duper simple. I'm just going to take this off just for simplicity's sake. So I like to start back here, or that's how you do start. Separate the legs, and then they will fold out, and you have to close this side first and then close that. And I do like this transformation. It is super simple, but for some reason it just feels, I don't know, kind of fun, kind of tactile. Maybe it's just because you're dealing with such big chunks with the legs, and then the arms simply just go like that, and then spin the wrists around, and then like so, and now bring that open. Then we can fold out the head and close that, and then this will actually lock in with those tabs in there. So there's that, and then we'll just put this back on his back, and here he is. And he has this, I really do like his aesthetic. I love the sort of squat, dumpy nature of this guy, as a character and as this toy. But just my biggest thing with this guy is these big tread panels. I wish they, folded in half or did something, because it really hinders his articulation, with doing things. And his arms, and this will be the same for Drill Horn, is that it rotates at a kind of a weird angle, in my opinion. But it's, once again, it's just a tiny little nuance. I really am not a fan of how big these panels are. I do really wish they folded in. But overall, he's not that bad. He's not horrible. I still do like him. He does have the charm of Long Haul and all of them, of being the worst member. He does have that charm and that look. His breast animal, super duper simple. Just flip out the head, flip out the legs, like so. Oops, well, I did the legs wrong. And come back here to flip out his itty bitty little tail and what will become the gun barrel. And here he is. And this mold, obviously the head and the chest plate is different, but it is the same for Drill Horn, LioKaiser, and Jaguar. It's the exact same transformation scheme and everything, which is a little unfortunate. I know that's how the original toys were, but I wish they put in that effort. And that's, once again, as I said, that's the biggest crux to me about this set, is that they got the broad strokes of it, but the finer details, like these little guys, and his transformation, and the gun barrels, the turret and whatnot, just seems like those were kind of lost in translation. Super simple with his gun as well. Just flip this peg back out. And I do love that slot is there. Don't know if it is there necessarily to get your fingernail in, but I do really like that. And so now he can hold it. And the guns were always, I think kind of just there, just sort of there on the original toys and then the series. But I do really, really like it. It's still is fun. Just flip this back in and put him back on as his chest plate. But Kill Bison, easily, I would say, of the main 6, he definitely, in my opinion, is the worst, but he still has that charm to him. So, once again, we'll continue on. And here with LioKaiser, I think, in my opinion, he's the biggest disappointment. Because I really do love the colors of LioKaiser. Love the colors, love the big Decepticon symbols, because obviously he forms the torso of LioKaiser. But I really do like the colors. I like to have these combiner joints like this, just to kind of make it look nicer. I don't like them all the way back here. I think that ruins the look and the silhouette. So I like putting him like that. I know it kind of makes him look more, blocky. You can't really distinguish the details, but I like to do that. He does have landing gear. I think it just barely clears the ground. But yeah, and this is the biggest disappointment, is that you just flip him over and you see how he's gonna work. I get it. That's how a lot of these plane formers work, is that most of him is just there. But even after last week looking at the Earthrise Thundercracker, is that even he had more effort put into him than this. I know he does a lot for the combination, but he could have done something more. That's just the biggest reason why he's the biggest disappointment, is that I really do like him. I want to like him, but he just doesn't do anything. You see him, you literally see him, and this piece can't even, like, the nose cone and everything just doesn't even, like, whatever. Let's just transform him, quit bashing on him. So just fold this back first and close those up, and now you just untab the arms, flip the fists out, fold these up, and now close. I like to swivel these down, and then like that, and then these panels come back, split the legs, untab the knees like that, and now swivel the head around. And forgot about the feet. Flip out the feet, and once again, I really do love the look of him. I think it does help that his colors are awesome, but he just didn't do much when it came to his transformation. I love the look of him. Love the look of the plane for the most part. Love the look of this for the most part. But he just doesn't do anything to get here. He just, you move the wings and you flip that back, and you already have him. And I hate being so negative about these guys, but once again, like I said about Kill Bison, is that the broad strokes are here. The robot and the plane are there, but the transformation really kind of isn't. Once again, like I said about Kill Bison, is his breast animal is the exact same. Flip the head out, you can see how the feet and legs work, and it's just, I hate reiterating this, that it seems like there was no effort, that it was kind of a bit of a cop-out with these guys. Like, I like it, but he just seems too familiar. And then obviously for the gun is identical. Flip this out, rotate the legs back around, and now you have his gun. Now you have the gun. And I really do like the gun. It does help that he probably has the best chest plate design of all of them, of all the different team members. But once again, we're just retreading the same ground, just with a different character and a different look. But once again, I can't bring myself to hate him. So let's just, once again, continue forward and get through the members. Now with Guy Hawk, we're starting to get a little bit better. Obviously, you see how he's going to work, and I get that. And once again, he has landing gear too. But he at least does a bit more than Leozak, and I do like that. Breast animal, is right there, and I took it off. I don't know why I took it off now, but he doesn't do anything. There's his gun mode. That's all you do. And then for his hawk mode, flip out the head, flip out the little wings, and there he is. I do love his cute little face. Just love his, I don't know, just love his little face. But with Guy Hawk and Hellbat, because they are going to be identical, It's really simple. The wings do tab in right there. So flip the wings up, and well, we're just to get a little bit more clearance to undo that and bring it down. Close up the wings. You're gonna want to bring that out, and now we can split the legs and undo this one because there's a panel there, and shift it out, close it up, and now swivel and tilt the toe. And now this one just simply just rocks out. There's no panel on the inside or anything. Do that, and there are the legs done, and bring those down. Arms, super duper simple, and you can really tell, since you can see him, how much shared engineering within the legs and the arms, and the way this is like this what will be like some combiner articulation you see is truly similar with Death Cobra. Is that Death Cobra just takes this like body archetype or this mold and just reconfigures it in a different way, and I do really like that. But once again, and yeah, Guy Hawk has probably been one of the ones that has grown on me the most, because his face just isn't perfect. I wish it was a tiny bit more wider, like more broader. I wish the eyes were a bit more like more half circle rather than more like eye shaped, because I think it's supposed to emulate like those hawk masks they put on like hawks so they don't see or whatever, to keep them calm or something. It's supposed to emulate that, I think. So I just wish those were a bit more like half circle rather than eye shaped, just to give off that look a tiny bit better. But overall, I really do like it. I love the colors of Guy Hawk. Love this, like, I don't really know what to say. It's not quite dark enough to be maroon, but I really like it. It's just a nice, pleasing color to my eyes. And the transformation, it does something. Obviously, it's not perfect, like a lot of these planeformers, but he at least did something, like with the extending legs and everything. The way, obviously, the head, was pretty simple, but just the legs doing that tiny bit more than LioZac just makes him just a little bit more fun to transform. And I do love that with these arm guys, you get that, like, you could use that as some articulation. But overall, I really do like this guy. He is still a ton of fun, and I really do like him. So we're finally getting into the good stuff. So let's look at our next member. And with our next member, it is Hellbat, and he is just a better version of Guy Hawk. I love the look of this plane. Love the look of it. Love how sharp it is. And I do like how with these darker, this dark navy blue, that the legs and the arms really blend into itself. It kind of loses, forgot to flip up the feet, but it really does kind of lose itself. And I do like how they did the one thruster for this and the two thruster on Guy Hawk. I love that little detail, that they actually put in the effort there to do that. Oops. Really do like Hellbat. Love these bits of yellow, and I love the big Decepticon symbols on there. And then like the little bits of white throughout, like with his arms, obviously the wings, and that one right there. And I do like that same red that was used on LioZac. I really do like this guy. Once again, we're going to take the bat off, and super simple. The barrel of this one folds out. This one's kind of difficult to get out, but you can see how it just folds out. I don't know why mine is so stiff, but I'm not going to mess with it. And then you can see how simply the bat works. Just fold his wings out, just like the hawk. And I do like, I just like the bat. Love his little evil looking face. But Hellbat, same as Guy Hawk, and similar story as Death Cobra, is flip up the wings, fold this down just so we can get some clearance, fold these down, split the legs. Well, easier to split the legs if didn't forget about that part. Extend the legs, close it up, undo this panel, extend the legs, bring this back down, get the wings up out of the way, and bring this back and down and peg it in. Bring the fists out like so. And there aren't a ton of, you can kind of get your fingernail in those little spots of their hands, but there isn't a ton of space to really grab them. And then you just spin the head around and then put him back on. And there he is. And once again, love the colors, love this deep, rich navy blue. And I always love, take this off so the camera can focus better. I really do like his face. Love the faux like bat eyes on top. The one thing I really do wish is that he had more like bigger red cartoony eyes, because in the show he's very, very expressive. He's always scared, always, like scheming. His eyes here just seem, just small. I just wish they were bigger so they could be more expressive, or if they're, supposed to be, like scheming eyes, I wish they were like really thin and pointy, like he's like narrowing his eyes. But once again, just a teeny tiny little detail and aspect. But I like him. Just super, super simple, super, super basic. And I just like him. He's just the better version of this mold. He's the best version of the three. So let's continue on, because we got two left. And Drill Horn is up next. So first thing, this comes off, but it is in the package, in the box separately. And I do like that because you can, be able to spin it. Obviously that'll wear it out, but I like the ability that you can spin the drill. And I really do like this drill tank. Obviously it is a little bit hollow, a little bit patchy in, where his arms are, but I love how detailed this is. Love these big vents and these fins up here. Just love the texture, if you will, and of all of it. Really reminds me of like something third party, just for how detailed it is, or just maybe like Transformers Cybertron, for how greebled and detailed this guy is. Really do like it. Love the baby blue on the cockpit there. Love that. Love the teeny tiny little spot of red. Just, I really do like Drill Horn. Just a super, super cool design for a toy and just for a vehicle. Obviously Takara and just Japan in general love their drill tanks, and Drill Horn is no exception. I really do like this guy, so let's transform him, and he's gonna work identically except for a couple little nuances to Kill Bison. So legs will work identical to Kill Bison, and it helps that this is just a fun way of doing it. I don't really know why I like the way the legs work so much, but I do. The only difference with the arms is that these flip back. They don't like swing up like Kill Bison. The wrists are the exact same, and then this folds back to reveal his head. And so yeah, here he is, and I really like him. Love his stocky appearance, and given his alt mode, he really gives it off. And because he doesn't have those panels on the side like Kill Bison, and he doesn't have that turret in the back, cluttering him up. Sorry, tough time speaking. He kind of looks slimmer, and he looks more like athletic, but still super armor plated and strong. I love that look. Just without those, especially those panels, because it really makes his arms look a lot more free and dynamic. Less of, a doofy guy, more like, the guy, the muscle of the team. This is what he gives off, rather than like the idiot of the team. So yeah, love the head sculpt, love the rhino horn molded in, love his like sterner face, and love the baby blue face. Absolutely love that. Once again, like I said, the breast animal is identical. Love his little rhino face because it's almost like more of a dinosaur rather than a rhino, but I really do like that. Love the look of his little rhino's face. So, once again, identical to the other breast animals, except for the arm bots. And once again, same thing with the transformation. Super simple, like that. Just undo it, and now just put it back on. But yeah, finally, I really do like him. He just love the paint on his legs, love the look of him, and it helps that he's just one of my more favorite components, like character-wise, given his design and whatnot. But he is not the best, so let's jump into the best. And here is the best. The best, in my opinion, is Jaguar, or like I said in the beginning, Jaguar or something like that. I just say Jaguar because it's easier for me to say. And I love this car mode. Obviously, you can see his arms. You see how he's going to work, but that's the whole thing. Like, every component is like that, so it's kind of hard for me to get frustrated anymore at this point. But I love the wheels are pinned. Love how beautifully he rolls. I do love how they're painted silver. Love this like orangish yellow, like it's almost like a pumpkin color that is used for the windshield for the cab. Love this yellow stripe. Love that beautiful Decepticon symbol. Little streaks of white down the center. Love the nice silver for the winch up there. Just really do like it. Love, love, love it. And obviously you can put these right there if you want to, but I like them on the side. Just really do like this. Really do like this car mode. Obviously, like I said, it's really basic. You can see how he's going to work, but just really do like this guy. Absolutely love the look of this. But unfortunately, we have to deal with this, which I'll talk a bit more during combination, but have to deal with this, which is a waist and some thighs. And I will show you how you do this. You will utilize these two ports and this little shaped piece that will go on those, and just going to take these off just because it's a little bit easier in my opinion. And then just drop this down. Kind of got to mess with these, like the legs a little bit, but just drops down onto it. And now you bring these down, these wheels down, and they will tab in, or peg in more other, into the other wheels. And this is something I do love, that it turns it into duals. This Doom Buggy race car has duals on it. It's stupid, but I like it. So now we can put these missiles here down the middle, and it just takes all the elegance out of his buggy mode. I'm not a fan of this. I just don't. The only thing that I like is that it makes duals. That's the only reason. Makes him into a dually. That's the only reason why I like that, but I'm just going to take this off. We won't truly need it until the combination, so I'm just going to leave it off to the side. But yeah, let's transform them. So the reason why I like putting these missiles on the side is you don't have to parts form them. You don't have to move them. You can just leave him on his legs. So simply, like I said, see how he's going to work. Flip those up. Flip the feet out. Split the arms or untab them, and then you just spin them, and then flip the hands out, split the legs, bring this back, and then we just spin the head. And there he is. I love his face, love his little ears, love the teeny tiny little eyes up there, love his teeny tiny little eyes, love the visor. He's the only one that has a visor. absolutely love the visor, love the tiny smirk you can kind of see, love the shoulders, love the design. And Jaguar, ever since I watched the anime, he's always been my favorite component. And he just is the best toy. He has the least amount of kibble. He does a decent bit with his transformation. Love his articulation. He's the least hindered. His waist swivel isn't hindered. His head, posability isn't hindered. Just, I really do like him. I think he's the best component. His chest plate, his breast animal, really do like it. Love these bits of maroon that are for his legs, and his is slightly different because it is flip-flopped. The chest plate end is the tail and the back, and the bottom is the head and the front legs and everything. Flip out his itty bitty little tail. He doesn't really necessarily look like a jaguar necessarily. He looks more like a little dog or something, but either way, I like it. And same thing with the actual gun mode. Super duper simple. Just flip everything away, and there's his gun. Is really stumpy, is kind of dumb, but I don't care. I just really love Jaguar. I think there is a way you can store the combiner legs on his back somehow to have a missile pod on his back, but I don't know how that works, and I really don't care. I'm not gonna soil this guy for being the best component, because he doesn't need it, because he is just the best in my opinion. So with that, we can finally move on to LioKaiser. So here they are all together now, and now we can finally combine them into LioKaiser. So we're going to start with these two, then move on to the torso components, and then the arms. I am not going to do the cannon mode for Death Cobra. I think it's kind of dumb. I'm just going to show off his arm mode, and so yeah, we'll get these four out of the way first, then this, then Jaguar, and now these two. So just like the original toy, the only breast animals that can be present on LioKaiser is Jaguars. There is a way with some specific ports and whatnot across the toy that you can put the breast animals, but I'm just going to leave them off for simplicity's sake. And with a lot of these guys, we're going to just basically revert them back to their alternate modes. Mainly these two, because that's what the legs are, is just these two in their vehicle modes. So get him all transformed, flip out the feet pieces, and there is drill horn all done. So I'll quick do him here off screen. And here is Kill Bison all done. So there are the legs, and we'll just put them off the side. So now we can bring in Jaguar, and unfortunately, the thing that makes him a parts former, makes the idea of LioKaiser kind of fall apart. Of course, and with him, we're just gonna basically set him down. So, just super duper simple. His arms will just be like this, and his legs will just simply go back like that. And now he will slide into some tracks like so, and make sure it's fully flush up against this waist piece. And now these missiles can slide in right there and right there. And it's just a little bit easier to put LioZac on when he's like this. So LioZac, just he's basically going to basically his legs will spin around and he will scrunch up into a ball. So undo this panel, flip out the LioKaiser head, spin his waist around, splay those out just a touch, bring these around because these will need to face up. So now, just fold his fists in really quick. So now it will, so these need to face up. These little shelf ledge pieces need to face down. Leave those skirts out, close up that. So now we will slide him in, and the little teal tabs go into there, and then those tabs will go into those slots back there, locking everything together. And then his skirt pieces will hook onto those gray or those black tabs down there. And now the arms will just tab back in. So there is the torso. And now we'll just do Guy Hawk because he was the first one I grabbed. So do the same thing with that. Untab that. Spin the head around. And this will bring the combiner joint up just a tiny bit. And I pull it out the rest of the way because I don't want to stress the plate that the head is on. Flip the hands back in. You'll flip these pieces up and around, and then just tab the arms in, bring all this down, and then you'll just decompress the legs as if you're going, actually no, leave those out. At least I like to leave the feet out. And just compress the legs as if you're going back into plane mode, like so. Undo that, and then that. And now, so he's going to become the right arm, I'm pretty sure, if I'm getting my directions correctly, and it will just drop straight in like that. So off camera, I'll do Hellbat and Death Cobra, but we'll just put the legs on right now, and they just simply, I like to angle the knee joint just so it's a tiny bit easier to get in. So, like so, just get him to stand nice and proper, and now I will go get Hellbat really quick. And here is Hellbat, and I'll just bring in Death Cobra whenever I'm ready. And here is LioKaiser. And for as much crap almost that I've been talking about the individual components, you can clearly tell that this is truly the main event. And as much kind of disappointment that I have that the individual components aren't as good as I necessarily wanted them to be, I can't deny that I love LioKaiser. It doesn't help that this toy, this character design, just everything about LioKaiser is just kind of incredible. Just a wonderful like symphony of pieces and components and characters just melded together into an awesome looking design. That helps a ton with this toy. Take a quick look at that beautiful head sculpt. But it helps a ton. Camera doesn't there. It just helps a ton that this toy just looks so incredible, and the character design and model just help that along. It helps that a ton. He does have some limited articulation. The arms are especially limiting. It's not great. I wish he did have a little bit more articulation. And I wish almost these shoulder connector joints were built into the limbs rather than LioZac, because those pieces are just kind of eyesores for LioZac by himself. But that's okay. I'll quick show off Death Cobra. So we'll have to take Hellbat off really quick and drop in Death Cobra. And I personally like the tail out to the side like that, but I think it's supposed to be like that, stuck straight up, and just show it off just because. And I like to put the rotor on the side, kind of like the Fall of Cybertron Bruticus, so he could be like a rotary shield, like the Vortex, like how Vortex becomes for Bruticus in the Fall of Cybertron game, becomes like that shield thing. But we'll just put Hellbat on because he is the true member to be here. But it's really difficult for me to not love this set because I love the characters. I love the toys. The toys are good. As much complaining as I have done in this video, I am not going to take away that the toys individually are still good. They're not perfect by any means, but the reason why I get so frustrated with this toy is just the fact that he's so close to being perfect, but he's just retreading the same ground. I wish the limbs did something to sort of differentiate themselves. I know that's not traditional. I don't know how the TFC Hades, I think, the third-party LioKaiser, I don't know how those individual components work, and I do not know anything about the Iron Factory versions, but at least in my opinion, giving the profile of this release the most backed Haslab ever, at least Transformers-wise. It should have done something to reinvent itself. It should have done something to challenge that tradition of the original toy, because the original toy was challenging what combiners did. Had no kibble except for the LioKaiser helmet. That's why I hold these toys to a higher standard than even the other Haslabs, is that the original toy was breaking the mold. It was doing inventive and new things. Yes, the arms and the legs were the same, but when we traded a helmet for the only piece of combiner kibble for a pair of legs, practically, I don't hate this toy. I know the combiner skeleton ultimately helps this toy out a ton. I love that the articulation is there, and it would be a great shame if there wasn't the amount of articulation, if they tried to make Jaguar actually integrate fully into it. But this is the moment in time where the engineering is at its peak with the Transformers, and at least with a high-profile release like this, they should have at least tried. If they had to scrap it, I'm fine. I'm fine with that. If they had to scrap it, or maybe they did scrap it, but just the way it's been going with the whole combiner skeleton or combiner kibble pieces is just almost a disservice, in my opinion, to this toy, to this character, to the legacy of what this release and what this character stands for. It just gets me personally a little bit. I have grown to it. Just maturing that. Pieces are just gonna have to sit to the side. Accessories are gonna have to sit to the side. But just given the legacy and the tradition and the legacy of this character, this design, it's just a bit of a disservice, in my opinion, to not try to do what the original toy did in the right ways. Because retreading the same ground of kind of uninspired transformations, kind of, wonky proportions, it's just not great. Like the turret is one of the biggest things, in my opinion, because it hurts Kill Bison individually, and then I'll show you because it also hurts LioKaiser, because it's too tall, it's too stumpy, it just doesn't work. The gun just doesn't work, in my opinion. It just doesn't fit. It is already too tall. It's almost too short. And it's just too... I hate to complain this much about something that I still genuinely love and like to own. But it just... I don't know. I like him for what he is, but I also want more out of him. Hopefully throughout the year I can hopefully track down the Iron Factory version, maybe the TFC Hades, and hopefully, given that BotCon is upcoming here in a week basically, I can hopefully buy myself a G1 LioKaiser. But I still love this toy. I still really love having it. I don't want this to sound like I'm complaining, but the reason why I'm almost complaining is because I wanted this to be better. I wanted this to break the mold. I wanted this to be further beyond, because I love Deathsaurus, but he kind of still felt a little bit bland. And this is kind of what this toy feels like, is that he should have been bombastic. He should have been huge, not in size, but he should have been huge. He should have shown off why he is, in my opinion, the greatest combiner and combining team ever. But really, when Jaguar is the only one that I truly would say is good and up to the regular standard, and the combiner really is good, but when only one component, at least in my opinion, is truly trying to be its own, not be its own thing, but, try to go further beyond, but I don't want to take away from this toy because, like I've said, I truly love it. And I gotta stop talking at some point because this has already gotten to a huge amount of time of talking about this toy, and frankly, I've been trying to keep it down, but it's already been so long. So before I keep complaining and repeating the same things and turn this into an hour and a half long video, I'll see you next time.